What was life like, before you found us? What was going on in your life?
Sure. So, my name's Janae. I'm 39, pushing 40 soon. And I don't know, I just kind of the last, probably it would be safe to say 5 to 8 years, I just started having a lot of issues, a lot of hormonal issues, diagnosed with PCOS, low thyroid, fibroid, cysts. I mean, just about anything you can think of hormonal. And then I had some bad blood work. So I was seeing a cancer doctor for about a year. Praise the Lord, that was an answered prayer. They never found anything that led to anything else, but I still didn't feel good, which was why I kind of started seeking out other things. Kind of got away from going to the doctor because I didn't want to be on a bunch of medications. I'm a therapist, is what I do. So I rehab. I work in a nursing home. I rehab sick elderly people, and I see them getting these vicious cycles of they're taking 10 medications and then they're on 10 more medications for the side effects of the other medication. So, what came first, the chicken or the egg, whatever. But, I didn't want to be just another statistic and a person that had to take a medication for every single health issue, which kind of led me into more natural things, and which was how I ended up, probably by what I Googled, stumbling across your program. So,
Why did you decide to join? Like, what called your attention, and why did you decide to give this a shot?
sure. So I just want to share this with you. I am a Christian, and I believe that it was through prayer that led me to your program. As you and I talked earlier, I was seeing a doctor. I kind of started going to places, they're called herb shops, so taking natural things. And oh man, I got a whole cabinet still full of stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But so I kind of started seeing a naturals doctor, and I liked him. He wasn't just the pharmaceutical type doctor that was just going to give me something, but I was getting ready to go through very expensive testing. It is not covered by insurance. So my husband's like, do you want to spend that much money? And so I'm just going to share this with you. This is Matthew 7:7. It says, ask and it shall be given you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. And like I said, I feel like it was an answered prayer to me. And so I think I maybe watched one of your videos and it talked about just kind of the basics of your program. And then, but I had kind of heard some of the things you said, but never so much information from one person, because I've heard tidbits of things that you talk about hormones or diet or hydration or all these things, but to have one person have all this knowledge, I was like, wow, maybe this is the real deal. This isn't just some gimmick that once you get to the bottom, $499 to sign up today. So I just kind of prayed about it and started watching videos, and then I started asking you more questions. And I think that for me, I found that you was legit because you would answer my questions, you were sincere, you were giving me good information, but there was never anything tied into that. I mean, you never was like, oh, you have to pay me this amount of money. So that kept my interest. And I know now you're a very busy guy. And so then I ended up talking to you after watching videos and this and that, and kind of just starting with the basics of hydrating, and then joined the program. So,
Very cool. So in the in the beginning stages, I guess, one thing that I always like wonder, because I always tell people, it's like I'm not a doctor, I'm not here to treat, cure, prevent any disease. Like, what was your thought as far as this knowledge coming primarily from like brewing beer, and how did that play a part as far as like, is this maybe want something I want to try?
well, yeah, I don't even drink beer, so I was like, this is really kind of weird. But then when I kind of would watch some of your videos, and that you would talk about, well, this is what I learned from doing that, and then tied it back to how the gut works. And so I'm like, okay, he's not like a weirdo, or whatever. When I first was like, what is this? So I'm glad that I did take the time to read it, because it has absolutely really nothing to do with beer. It's the big picture, but I think it's neat that you kind of got your insight from that, and it truly is how the gut works. And like I said, I'd heard tidbits of this about the overgrowth of yeast, and I've actually taken products for that. And one of the things that I found to be interesting, because you always get people at work and they're doing this diet or that diet, and everybody's like fasting and they're doing really well with this. And I fast and I feel like I'm dying, and I'm like, what the heck? What is wrong with me? Why can everybody else do that? And I can't. And then I'd watch your videos and I'm like, just these light bulbs are coming on. And I'm like, okay, that's because my gut is in such bad shape that I cannot fast yet. So just it was just a lot of answered prayers and things that I didn't understand about my own body that I can watch and have some insight and then go, okay, yes, eventually I will be able to do intermittent fasting, but I have a lot of work to do first. And again, that starts with the hydration, the building of my vitamin D, fatigue. Anybody's watching this video, the only way I can explain fatigue on days that I feel terrible, this is how I feel. My eyes feel like this. Do you understand, Jorge, when you have that? Okay, so
Yeah.
that was me, like pushing myself because I'm a rehab director, therapist, and I come home after working 9, 10 hours. And I've still got at home right now a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old and my husband, and we don't eat pizza every night. I make balanced meals. So I come home and I cook and I clean. And just to have the energy before your program, it was like I would literally almost be in tears by 9 o'clock because I was just so wore out. But then I would lay down. And because my brain was going and the anxiety was going, then here's the insomnia. And I mean, I was at the point of going and getting on an antidepressant, doing something major, something had to give. And so praise the Lord. I mean, it was hydration and vitamin D and better eating. And I'm a Weight Watcher like fan. I think it helps. And I think I told you the last time we had a call that when I was like, oh my gosh, a whole avocado. Are you kidding me? I followed Weight Watchers. I've struggled with my weight my whole life. Um, I've kept most of my weight off, but about 10 pounds since marriage. So I'm not too worried about that. But once I get my hormones figured out, I know too weight's gonna will come off easier. But um, that was a whole new concept for me because Weight Watchers hit you on the fat, and I'm like, this guy's crazy. Coconut oil and avocados, and that's like my whole Weight Watchers points for 5 weeks. So um, just dropping the ideas of what I think is right and what people that even have a nutrition degree will tell you is right. When actually, all along, yes, that was great for weight loss for me, but what was I doing to my body when I was doing low fat for the last 7 years?
What was your experience like going through the actual program?
Through the program, um, the Bible talks about getting weary and faint in your mind. And again, I'm going to relate it back. I think it's interesting that when man fell, it was through food. What is it that Eve partook of, And so I feel like that just because we're humans, that we're going to struggle with that. And everything is around food, I feel like in life almost, if you have a wedding coming up or then it's the next holiday. And so um, for me, the biggest challenge after I mastered hydration, which definitely takes, you figure out 6 weeks to form a habit. And I'm still not there. I still have bad days. Um, it's following a minimalistic diet. That is the hardest thing because my husband will tell you I got him to go on a date. I made him cookies. I love through food, you know. It's part of just being a woman, them expectations of us. We cook, we want to do new Pinterest ideas and just everything is always surrounded by food. And so a minimalistic diet, it sucks. You know that it's gonna make you feel better, when you hear grandma, you are what you eat, so you're gonna feel better, but that doesn't mean that we're still not human beings and we don't want to enjoy that. And that's one of the things I like about what you share, because you've been doing this for years, which is why you're like, just because I'm doing this doesn't mean you can do this, wherever we're at in this stage of the program. But I think it's just that's the most challenging part is after you get the hydration and you set the other habits, um, is just continuing on with a bland diet when everybody around you is eating garbage.
Yeah.
And even though you know it's bad and it's going to make you feel bad, because we're humans, we still want to eat it. And so, for me, I'm still learning, and I am very Weight Watcher, and because I still struggle with my weight, I'll want to revert back to the calories. And just because I lose weight doesn't mean that it's good for my body. So I'm still struggling with those two things of how to get my fat in and all that, but you know, continue on a minimalistic diet. So that's probably the biggest challenge for me.
Okay. And what would you say is like your favorite result that you got out of this? Like something that I don't know, maybe you're just like, wow, like I'm like this is worth it just because of this one thing.
Well, one of the things I want to mention, so if you're watching this now and you're like, I'm not seeing the results, stick with it, because what we have to remember is we have abused our bodies for, I'm 39. So, and then too, when I, like I said, when I thought I was doing a good thing, when I joined Weight Watchers 7 years ago, I probably messed my hormones up even worse by doing low fats when that's what my body needed. So didn't know that. Hindsight's always 2020. But sorry, what was the question? I lost my
What what was like your favorite results that you
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure. Um, so I think one of the biggest things I noticed is when I started sleeping. And one of the things I'm not on any other pharmaceutical medications, but I was at the point in my life before I found your program, and also sick twice in the last year. So I really realized just how low my vitamin D was and how my immune system was so down. And prior to this, I mean, I hadn't been sick with the flu or anything. So sleep was the biggest thing that I noticed first. I now take half of a sleeping pill, which is a huge deal because prior to this program, they were having to increase and increase. I was building a tolerance. I really feel now there's some nights that I fall asleep before I take my medicine, and I feel like that I'm so afraid of insomnia that I'm still taking that half of a sleeping pill. Um, my goal, I know eventually I'll be off of it, but that was the biggest hurdle for me. And then I was kind of thinking about it, the other day. Um, I used to sit in the shower and almost just bawl my eyes out because my hair was just falling out and falling out. I'm still having some hair loss, which is normal, but it is nothing like it was. And I have fought this for the last probably 8 to 10 years.
Oh
My
wow.
hair is falling out. My mom, I mean, it's genetic in my family. My mom has very thin hair. My dad does. So I'm like, great. I don't even have a chance as far as that, But that is that's a huge thing for a female, especially, and a male too. I don't want to discredit that, but I mean, I was looking at extensions. I mean, I'm looking up like I'm going to be in a wig, and so this is amazing. My hair loss has slowed down. And I mean, I've taken biotin. I've taken, like I said, I have a whole cabinet full of just herbs, and really nothing worked. And and my husband, he's sweet, but he's always telling me, how pretty I am. And then he goes, I don't know, your face just really does look different. Well, your skin's different when you hydrate. Just these simple things that were just like little babies, like you have to drink your water, but it just changes your hair, your skin, your nails, but it's not overnight. I didn't get this way overnight and I didn't get my results overnight. And I'm just glad that I stuck with it. I watched the videos, I listened to the success stories. I have a Lord that I can pray to, which is, Jesus Christ, and He answers. And that's just kind of, been that's the biggest things. And I'm not, I still have a lot of work to do, but those are big things in 6 months.
What about brain fog? Did you have anything ever deal with like brain fog or just anxiety?
Sure. And, I mentioned I was sick. So I actually had COVID. I signed up for your program, and it was like 3 days later, I got COVID, and got it from the lovely, I do healthcare, and I got it from the nursing home, working with residents. And so our family got through that. And that was, but Basically, yes, and and it's a very known, like, long hauler effect for people with COVID to have brain fog. Well, I had some of that anyways prior, but I mean, I was just worried. I was like, "Man, I'm gonna be like a little dementia patient now," because I already had brain fog. And I mean, I can't say that it's perfect because there's days I'm like, "Okay, the stress," but I just feel like that there's a sense of clarity there that wasn't there prior, for sure. And just before the program, I mean, just I felt like my body was in a constant fight or flight state. I don't You can probably understand that, but so then you get into the hair loss. You can't sleep at night, and it's like this vicious cycle. I mean, I could feel my heart just pounding out of my chest all the time. I feel like if when I would eat, it would make it worse, and um, just really on edge and really just moody. And I mean, of course, my husband will tell you, like, oh, she's still very hormonal, but I don't have at work. Like, I love my job now, and before I felt just stressed all the time. I did take on a rehab director job in the middle of a pandemic. How smart is that? Um, but I just don't like, even when I'm having a bad day, it's like I don't have that just all the time built up stress where I feel like one more thing happens and I'm just gonna, fall apart. So I was actually thinking about this the other day, though, like just these little things that have gradually gotten bigger of changes that's happened within me that I know. And even my daughter mentioned that. She's like, Mom, you're not as tired and grouchy when you get home from work. I'm like, well, praise the Lord. So little things that are so huge in our everyday lives.
What are you excited about for, like, moving forward?
I'm excited because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I have PCOS, fibroids, and I mean, basically, my options are now if I go back to, a gynecologist or whatever, they've mentioned hysterectomy and this and that. And so for me to continue on with my journey, I'm super excited about getting off the sleeping medication, which I'm sure, like I said, I probably could try, but I'm still a little bit nervous about it, because insomnia is a terrible thing. I mean, it's one of them things you hear about insomniacs and you don't really think a lot about it until you're the one in the shoes and you're not sleeping, but you know what? You still got to get up and go to work because you have bills to pay, and you still have a family that needs a mom, and you have a husband that needs a wife. So insomnia or no insomnia, you still got to function. And so um, for me, I'm excited about, like I said, not taking the medication, but also figuring out my hormone stuff. And a side note that I would like to throw in there with hormones, this is just something for me that has worked, is first of all, I am better at keeping my diet in check than I am exercising. That is hilarious because I'm a therapist. So I tell people every day, do your 30 reps and make sure but myself, I hate to exercise. Okay. But when I do, I can instantly feel within 6 weeks my hormones start to change. So I don't have um the breast tenderness and just all the things that I experience all the time, which is part of PCOS and all the other issues I have. So, said a lot of words to say this. I definitely am excited to see what the program can bring forth as far as my hormonal issues. And I am getting close to 40. So I know that because of, just things that this is a battle that I'm going to have to fight. It's an uphill battle. Menopause could be within the next 10 years for me. So just to try to keep on top of that and get that under control. Um, and then just continuing to have more energy. I'm looking forward to now because I know about vitamin D. I'm like, I can't wait until like we've had 2 days with sunshine just to get out in the sun and just to do those things just for energy, um, hormones. Um, my hair loss has stopped, but I'm ready to start seeing my hair start growing back. So I figure I'm in phase one where it's finally stopped to where I'm not in that constant fight or flight. And so I'm not seeing that constant hair shedding, but now I'm ready for my hair to start growing back. That's exciting. I might be able to actually have like, I actually went to the hairdresser the other day and she cut my hair way too short, but my hair had actually gotten pretty long. She cut like 3 or 4 inches off. But that's really exciting for me.
Did you ever experience, like, for example, if you skip out on hydration,
Oh, yes.
how other parts of the program, it just doesn't work the same?
Uh-huh. So what I notice is, and this is probably because um as I've learned from your program, you hydrate, which then helps you to uptake your vitamin D. So if I have a few days where, and I'll tell you, for me, it's a challenge, it's been a challenge. And so this is one of the things, it's like so dumb, what we know we should do, but we don't. And so it's like, okay, well, if you have trouble drinking at work, because I'm just like, for several months, I was in an N95 mask,
Mhm.
another mask over it, because I work in a nursing home. These people have been through way much. Oh my, but anyways, that's a whole nother topic. But a face shield. So I mean, literally for me to take a drink is a task. So that was a good excuse in my brain for a while. Well, I just can't hydrate. Well, duh, drink a quart of water before you go to work, and then you already have a quart in. But so for me, to answer your question, it is when I go a few days and I don't hydrate like I should, then I don't sleep like I should. Probably because, and I mean, I take still 5 to 6 fermented liver cod oils at nighttime. That's just my routine now. Like when my bottle gets low, I'm like on Amazon, making sure I do not run out, because I mean, when you feel better, you want to continue on that same track. Um, so it's just amazing to me how fast you'll revert back
Mhm.
to fatigue. I notice my fatigue increases and my insomnia is instantly back within just a few days of me not hydrating. I always take my fermented liver cod oil, but it's sometimes just a challenge to hydrate. It is. Bad habits, they come back quickly.
The combination of, like, hydration and vitamin D, that's really what I found helps, helps your body uptake all of your other nutrients, which is
Right.
really what I believe was a key piece for hair growth.
Yes. And one of the things I would like to mention that really is stuck in my mind, and I'm glad you said this, because I kind of steer away from doctors. I didn't go into detail here, but I steer away from doctors since I had that blood work a few years ago and had to see a cancer doctor. I'm like, I just don't want to go. I don't want that done. So it'd been a few years since I'd had blood work done. And so I went in because, they were on me and on me and on me, you need to get blood work done. And that's doctors. So, anyways, my blood work wasn't terrible. My white blood cells have ran bad for probably 10 years, which you and I talked about that. That's probably nutrient deficiencies. But one of the things you said in the call, which was very small but so encouraging, was, Janae, go by how you feel and not what blood work says. And I found that to be very true, because at that time I was like, I feel better. So why does my blood work? My cholesterol was a little bit high. My white blood cells were low as usual. And then my vitamin D was a lot lower than what I expected. So I'm like, what was my vitamin D before I started Jorge's program? I don't even want to know. But, I didn't get too discouraged because I did feel better. And so I didn't go by just what a number said. At that time, my hair loss had decreased, and I don't have that just blanket of fatigue after 3 o'clock every day. So I definitely think that I think doctors are important. I'm not going to discredit that, but your body knows, um, and is so much more important than what a lab result can be, which, by the way, can vary a lot. When you're going through a lot of blood work, I mean, anybody knows that as well. So that's just something I did want to share, because I was pretty discouraged, because, I was just expecting my vitamin D to be at normal levels. And when it wasn't, I was like, what the heck is going on? And when you're like, go by how you feel and not what something says, definitely true.
To me, like, fermented cod liver oil is not a supplement, it's food, and it's not something that I actually do on a regular basis, but
Mhm.
initially when I got started, I did take a lot of it. I did, I feel like that's part of like what recharges you, and your body just needs a good amount. But once your body gets into like I call it almost like a state of like balance where you're not as toxic, you for the most part follow a good diet, you're gonna find that you don't need to take that as much. And like for me, I'm at a point where I take it only as needed. Like if I ever feel like, okay, I'm not sleeping as good, and which now it's kind of like when I say I'm not sleeping as good is nothing compared to like
Right.
when I
Being
was.
awake all night long going, I had 30 minutes of sleep last night.
Yeah, pretty much. Like if I would get like 3 4 hours of like sleep straight, like I would be in heaven back then. Now, I mean, like I may get like a full 6 7 hours of sleep, but if I'm like, huh, I haven't had a dream that I can remember,
Mhm.
that's when I'm like, okay, well, maybe need to boost my vitamin D a little bit. And sure enough, like as soon as I started looking into it, that's what I noticed is like my sleep is so deep that I dream and I remember the dream when I wake up.
Yeah.
And I find like whenever that happens, that's when I wake up and I feel restored. I feel like, okay, that was good sleep. I'm ready for the day. Bring it on.
I definitely feel like just, hormones is a whole bowl of wax of its own, and, that's where, I myself need to watch more of your videos and, encourage others to. It goes into a lot of depth, and you know this, and I know you're still learning as well, especially for a woman, because it is a little different than what men go through. But definitely, I mean, that's just the next my biggest hurdle that I need to conquer. Of course, I haven't. Um, I still struggle with a minimalistic diet at times. I I mean, definitely it's something I'm more aware of. I eat a lot cleaner. Um, Pay attention to ingredients. What the you know Weight Watchers or these places try to sell you, or whatever. Is it actually healthy just because somebody slaps a label on it and said, it is? And just oils and how they affect. That's been mind blowing to me, of what oils can do to your body and what a healthy oil looks like versus an oil that isn't good for you and going to cause you hormonal issues. So I guess it has to be, for me, I just have to tell myself, like, yes, my biggest thing's like chips. I love chips. So, and they're just loaded with bad oils. And I'm like, maybe I could make something and make an invention here because, but even instead of eating the chips, like last night, I just took like a potato and put it in the air fryer with olive oil on it, or no, avocado oil. So, there is ways to get past the cravings and not eat as bad, but you're still getting nutrients. So for me, it's learning not necessarily to not do low calories, but to give my body what it needs, because that was an eye opener when you and I had our last call, of just how depleted I probably am in nutrients. And so, and then that took me back to knowing, oh, I was fasting at the time. And you're like, you probably shouldn't be fasting. And I'm like, well, everybody else is, type of thing. And so, um, it definitely, and one of the things that you talk about that I appreciate is, just because you're doing something doesn't mean that wherever the person's at, going through energy boot camp, they may not be there. I mean, they may start out and their gut's not as bad as mine. So they may start out and be way ahead of where I'm at right now, but everybody has kind of their own journey to go through. And so for me, I guess it's figuring out, maneuvering through where I'm at. Like I noticed, I do a lot of green juices now, and I mean, I've gotten so used to them that I don't even have to add the apple. I actually like the way they taste, which is kind of weird. People I work with, what are you drinking? And I'm like, green juice. But I do notice sometimes, maybe because it's detoxifying, when I have green juices, sometimes I don't sleep as good. Is that because I'm detoxifying? I need to do that, but just all these things that I'm appreciative that I've watched videos and learned, because otherwise the old me would have been like, "Oh, well, this isn't going to work for me. Like, this might work for them." Well, no, actually, it's going to work. You're not going to get the results though, but you got to go through this first. So, um, knowledge is power, I guess.
Yes.
So when you know, when you expect it, okay, I got to get from point A to get to point B. Um, that's probably what's kept me going as well. So it's not like, oh, I freak out like, oh, this isn't going to work, or it's making me feel worse. Well, some of that's normal. And for me, because you talked about how every person's different, and this person might need this, or this person's ready for this phase, but this person's still here. I go back to hydration quite a bit, because I'll have a few good weeks and then a few rough days. And then, like I said, them habits, they die hard.
Yeah.
So, but for me, um, I, and I can't remember exactly, but I do my little mason jar, and I do like six, six droppers of the minerals, and then like 10 of the soul salt. And that's what's working for me now, because where my digestion and things like that are, how how you suggest most people to start out, that wasn't enough for me. Um, but I will say, since I've upped that, also my body needs that magnesium right now, because I do know that I've did enough research and stuff that magnesium and hair loss are also linked. And since I've upped my magnesium and my soul salt, that's also, I feel like, another contributing factor to why my hair loss has slowed down as well. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going to stay there, obviously, but for me, that's what I need. And I can tell by digestion and just by the way I feel and things, that's where I'm at. And that might be a lot for somebody else. So, but yeah, everybody's so different. And your
Yeah. Yeah.
program is such a science. And depending upon how your body reacts to that, I understand now why it's so hard for you to just give this broad advice and it apply to everybody. It doesn't work like that. It's so personal, depending upon where the person's at in their gut health, etc. So yeah, I mean, basically, and I'm not always good about sharing my diet and this and that. I'm very busy life. But but basically, without seeing people's diet, you're like, I have to be a fly on your wall or constantly watch what you're doing to know, because each person's so different. So yeah, totally get that. Well, yeah, and it's real life, so it's different when you have a diet pill or a product or something that somebody just basically put a label on, but they're trying to sell it to you, but they've never been through it. So they probably haven't even taken the product themselves. Whereas you've been through it, so it's just totally different. Um, for us that's going through it, even though ours might be different or we might be in a different place, we know that you're not expecting anything out of us that you haven't already been through. So I guess, that's just encouraging in itself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, first of all, I'd just like to thank you, because, and let everybody know that, this is real. And even like I said, it was, very inspiring to me even before I decided to become a member, that you would answer my questions and you would try to help me navigate through. It's a lot of information, it's overwhelming. And so what I would like to share for people is just to remember that your health didn't get this way overnight. You're not going to get better overnight. You're not going to see results, but just to remember that you're human, and start out with the hydration, and just do that for even if it's a month or two, because even these things that seem so small, you will get results from. I just am still playing around with the minimalistic diet, and these have already been my results in 6 months. So if I would just buckle down and really follow be more religious about my minimalistic diet, and really try to start tackling my hormones, I can't imagine where I'm going to be in another 6 months. So, um, that's my best advice is for people, that it is the real deal, but you have to do the work. Like, I know that's the part where you get frustrated is you can't do the work for us. You can tell us, you can give us the tools, but what you pick, if you decide to pick them up and what you do with them is on you. And so for me, I guess it's taking the leap of faith and being stubborn enough to stick with something, which again is just hydration. And even if the products, buy, they seem, oh, well, my liver cod, sometimes it's 38, sometimes it's 50, depending upon if Amazon has a sale. But at the end of the day, I was taking so many supplements and seeking so many doctors that I've already saved thousands of dollars, just by, and it's through simple things like food and um, one product versus a cabinet full, you know. So just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you will see results, but you're not going to see them overnight. So you have to see the big picture. You can't have tunnel vision with this program because you will get discouraged and failed. I mean, there was many a times that I'm like, okay, I know this is starting to work, so I'm here, but I want to be here, but it sucks going through the valley.
Yeah.
So just keep going through the valley.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. Again, thank you so much for sharing your story, for getting on live here with me. And I definitely look forward to, seeing where your journey takes you months on the road. So please stay in touch and let us know how you keep on doing.
Yes, I know I'll have lots of questions, and I mean, and Jorge's great. I can be in the middle of natural grocers and like, should I buy this? And if you're not busy, you'll answer me. So that's great. Yes, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this as well. And, I look forward to, like I said, going on and continuing on and working on the hormonal issues and just kind of see what's in store for me next. So appreciate it a lot.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much. And I guess this is it. I will talk to you next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. See you, everyone.